see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow up in no tree on a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Ready for broke every chain. That when you free up the people, levitate. Jamaica member, you ever great. I feel burn up the fire upon every snake. Me give thanks in every way. God still a look down once see we safe. UIC run the road long time. GLP and PMP a sell we out. Till I do the test even though we know the end result. If them coulda kill with them catch we and hang we know. No force, no coercion, me freedom in a step. No one fi rob we and kill we and feel them a go make it out. You know see the leeches, you know see the angel the devil when him sleep with. You know see the leeches, you know see the angel the devil when him sleep with. Yeah, real man a road. Now bow up in no tree on a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road, me say yeah. Real man a road. Now bow up in no tree on a road. Now bow down to no demon a road. UIC when you see man a road. Yeah, me drop the braffin now, and then I laughing now. What them talking about? Everything cement and we not talking growth. Jamaican intellectuals are marching now. Them couldn't get the last laugh, no them laughing loud. We don't need the small talk when we talking, bro. We don't need them 5 grand, we need to.
Good evening, my fellow Canadians. Good evening. Uh, Joseph Patterson here, President of the UIC. I have a very unfortunate bit of news I have to share with you. But there's also some positives in it as well that I want to share with you this evening. There are many things that are outside our control. We cannot control people's behavior. We cannot control their choices. We can only control ourselves and our own choices. And so this evening, I want to make sure I talk with all of you about what is going on inside the UIC. As you know, the UIC has grown tremendously over the last 10 years since Mrs. Patterson and I started. And when I say Mrs. Patterson and I always have to qualify that because along the way, a number of persons have worked with us. I still remember when we just started in 2013. In fact, the first time the word UIC Jamaica was used was, I think, December 2012 when I created the UIC Facebook page. And following that, I started to work very hard at finding people who could understand the vision, understand the mission, understand, how we are going to make the transition and transformation to this new Jamaica. And so it has been quite a journey, quite a task, not an easy one. It's a big decision when anybody decides to get involved in politics, a very big, very, very big decision. And when I decided to try to create for Jamaica a political movement that would eliminate the colonial divide and conquer system that we have been under. My wife was very concerned. She said, "You don't want to do this. It is very dangerous in so many ways." She had concerns about all kinds of things that could go wrong. And I told her, I know, I understand, and I appreciate it. But I felt that I had a responsibility, a duty of care, a duty to my people, because the truth is, all of us were placed on this earth for a reason. All of us. Some of us find that reason, and some of us don't. I found the reason for myself. My reason for being here, my purpose on earth, is to bring to Jamaica and the world a new governance model, a system of governance that would change the way we relate to each other, that would create an environment whereby we can achieve our full potential, not because of political handouts, but because of a system that would empower each and every individual to achieve their maximum potential. I spent years thinking about how that system would work. I studied, I never went to school for political science. As some of you might know, I am an engineer by first training. I was trained as an electrical engineer. After that, I decided to take up finance and accounting, and I became a certified, or rather chartered, professional accountant, CPA, as well as a certified general accountant. And I developed a great love for political economics, where you study the commingling of politics and economics and how that impacts the lives of the common man and woman. I asked myself the question, why are so many people poor and so few people rich? What is causing the disparity? Is there a way to fix that? I studied carefully and I learned about and recognized that that poverty is institutional. Poverty is not normal. Poverty is created. Poverty is an outcome or byproduct of governance. And as I studied these things, I studied Jamaica's politics. I looked at what our colonial masters did with us, how they tried to trick us along the way. They abolished slavery in 1838, but when they did that, they made sure that the slaves were only free to choose their slave masters. They did not have the property rights, they did not have the access to capital, they did not have the education that they needed to enjoy so called freedom. So they weren't free. They were only free in theory, but practically they were slaves. I looked further and observed that after 1838, they decided to give us, over 100 years later, so called universal adult suffrage, which is the right to vote. And so in 1944, our people felt excited and thought that they were being given real power to vote, only to realize that that was a trick again in 1944, so-called self-governance. And by 1962, they tricked us once again with independence. As I studied all of this, I codified my knowledge and understanding into what we now know as the United Independence Congress of Jamaica. Our goal is to create one Jamaica, united, strong, and free. A Jamaica where our individual sovereignty are protected. A Jamaica that is safe, clean, and orderly. A Jamaica where we protect individual liberty and promote personal responsibility. Along the way, doing all of this, you have to create an organization. You have to run an organization. So the UIC has been run by myself, Mrs. Patterson, and a number of individuals who participate in what we call the National Executive Committee, or NEC. Recently, I asked the NEC to provide some kind of financial support to Mrs. Patterson and myself for the work that we're doing, because it has significantly eroded our finances and impacted us tremendously. One impact alone after the September 22nd arrest was the loss of $4 million every year for 2 years. That's $8 million. So I asked the treasurer if we could record a liability for half that amount of $4 million on the books, and to report that by way of the notes and by way of the annual members congress to the members, and explain that it's very important that we provide some level of financial support for the work that me and Mrs. Patterson are doing, and which we have done completely free for the last 10 years. The treasurer objected in a way that surprised me, and other members of the executive apparently shared that position. The treasurer then, after I expressed my outrage and dissatisfaction with the whole matter and how it was being dealt with, he proposed that I be paid a stipend or a salary instead. Uh, we arrived at a figure of $167,000 per month. $167,000 per month for me, which is approximately $1,070 US per month, to support me and Mrs. Patterson also a similar amount. So in total, $4 million per annum, or 167,000 for me, and 167,000 for her. The treasurer and the board decided to meet on the matter, which is customary and proper. And as usual, when the subject is me, I needed to step out of the room. I made clear to the treasurer and to the rest of the board that, as per my initial recommendation concerning the 4 million, that I should not be paid a penny in any of the months where we do not have the funds to do so, or we do not have the funds to meet other expenses. So all other expenses of the organization must be paid before Mrs. Patterson or myself are paid a cent. This was somehow forgotten by the board in their deliberations, and for that reason they said they had to work overtime. At no point at all did the treasurer call me to discuss the matter, because the treasurer has not been speaking to me. He's in the board, he's on the board, he speaks with a former member of the board, but he doesn't speak with me on the board. And so I keep telling the board that there's no way for you to have a treasurer and a president not speaking on a regular basis to plan and manage the affairs of the movement. I found it very odd. I find it very unhealthy. I found that it's not very good for good planning and management. Anyways, I realize now that there was something going on behind the scenes. And the whole thing continued until I finally said, after I resigned. I offered my resignation effective March 2021. March 21st. One second. March 21st, 2022. I said I will resign effective March 21st in order to give the board the opportunity to find somebody else that they feel more suitable, because it was clear that they had no confidence in me and that they did not value me and Mrs. Patterson. The board called an emergency meeting at which they said, no, that's not true. We have every confidence in you. And they voted 8 persons in favor of, in confidence, saying that they had confidence in me. And they voted 1 person saying they had no confidence in me, and 1 person abstained from voting. So in effect, 2 persons had no confidence in me, and 8 of the other members had confidence in me, apparently. After that long meeting, 3 hours, where we talked and talked and talked, and it appeared as though we had reached somewhere and brought ourselves to an amicable position. The board, one board member, then raised the question, okay, can we now say that we have reached a conclusion on the compensation for Mr. Patterson and Mrs. Patterson, or do we need to have another meeting? The treasurer responded harshly and said, we've already decided on that, and the answer is no. Again, I was taken aback. I was shocked. Not because they said no, but just the manner in which they did it. It was as though there was this, what do you say? It's as though there's some form of resentment or some form of disdain or some form of um, but I whatever it was, I felt very degraded and very devalued. I had to ask myself, is this really the UIC that I've given my blood, sweat, and tears to create over 10 years? Is this the kind of response I'm getting now when, because of the work that I've done, I am now in a position where I have to ask for some financial assistance because of, I'll give you one example. Because I haven't paid attention to my beekeeping business, for example, that cost us 75 hives at a cost of about $35,000 per hive that we lost. Because of my arrest, that's, call it another $8 million there. In just one instance alone, in doing the UIC, not paying attention to my business, we lost one day, one staff stole $80,000. Now, I'm not blaming the UIC for this. No, what I'm saying is these are the consequences and costs of trying to build a movement and giving it the attention it deserves. If I was building a business and spending the time building a business, you'd understand, because there's no complaint. That is your responsibility. You're building your business. It comes with cost. It comes with, all of these things. But the UIC is a non-profit organization. The UIC is a political movement. It's not a profit-making entity. It's not a business. It is a non-profit organization, which means all the effort and energy and time and thousands of hours that Mrs. Patterson and I put in, that is not for profit. It is so ordinary for any major non-profit or charitable organization or political movement even to provide compensation of some sort to those who carry out the extensive administrative work of the organization. Remember, Mrs. Patterson and I are the two most engaged employees without being employed persons in the organization. And so when I saw the response of the board, I told them it's okay, don't bother, you can forget about it. And then that night, I believe, if my memory served me right, I wrote to the board and said, I was really very disappointed in how you responded. I feel devalued, I feel unappreciated, and so on. And given all of that, I think it's best then that I, with immediate effect, give all of these tasks that I am doing, tasks that are not normally done by a president, all these administrative tasks. I will give these out to all of the I give them to you, all of you who feel so, who value me so little, who value us so little. I'll give you all of these tasks, to do. Please take these things off my plate. And by the way, many of these things I've been begging for years to be taken off my plate. But the way it works, you see, the way it all works is that when any and anybody can drop the responsibilities in the UIC, I can't, and Mrs. Patterson doesn't. No matter what is going on, we always did the job that needed to be done, even if nobody else steps up to get it done. Nobody else. Nobody. We are going to make sure whatever needs to be done is done. If it's the floor that is to be wiped, we're going to wipe it. If we have to cook food to serve to people who want to cook it. If we have to walk street and lanes, we're going to walk. If we have to go door to door to door to door and get people to understand and sign off to help to create the UIC, we're going to do it. I can tell you this. I personally engaged in signing up 1,300 persons for this movement so that we could become an official political party under the laws established to crush third parties. I did the work. My wife did the work. She was right beside me. A gentleman by the name of Naima Grandison, vice president then, he was with me and he did the work. Subsequently, Vice President Devon Thompson, he and Grandison are the two really solid workers. We've had others that have done, don't get me wrong, others have done something, but these persons have done monumental work, real work in the organization. But Mrs. Patterson and I never dropped the baton. Never. When Devon Thompson resigned, all of his work that he was doing, great work, that fell on me. When Naima Grandison resigned, that fell on me. When anybody walk away from the organization and just forget about doing what is to be done, it falls on me or on Mrs. Patterson. And we do it. Not because you see me as president of the UIC, think I'm any big shot. I do any and everything that needs to be done in this organization. If I have to roll up my sleeve, roll up my pants, take off my shirt even, and go down into the pit and go do the work, I'm going to do it. And Mrs. Patterson and I have done every single solitary thing that needed to be done. Every single thing. And this is the behavior of the board towards the two of us. I was shocked. It was unbelievable. After I sent out that message, I called a meeting of the candidates to update them on the situation. The candidates were shocked. At this meeting, all the parties were there. So those who were a part of the efforts that caused me to be so frustrated and feeling so degraded and feeling so humiliated were also there. The ringleader proceeded to tell me a string of bad words, as we call it, expletives in the meeting. He just said all manner of terrible things and started to cast aspersions and started to fabricate half-truths into perfect lies to try and misrepresent me, malign my character, and to draw away the membership. He then proceeded the following morning before 5 o'clock, I believe, to use his administrative privileges, to turn off my access, to turn off my administrative access in our accounts, our WhatsApp group accounts. He turned off my access and he turned off the admin access of all the other executive members and made himself Lord and Governor over everything. He became the sole dictator while dictating to me that I am a dictator. It is unbelievable and unimaginable. I will never be able to forget the name Marlon Millis, the person I hired to help us, who then led the revolution to destroy us. And he had the company of Marvin Edgar to help him with this, and was able, with the help of the treasurer, to mislead a lot of persons down the wrong path. Now, I don't know what truly motivated them, but I'm sure it's not my resignation. I'm sure that they were already planning and plotting, because that became apparent in many instances since then. They also tried very hard at the last AMC, which is the Annual Members Congress. They tried very hard to coordinate the process to eliminate a vice president that they did not like. And I didn't know what they were doing at the time, but they were breaching the very constitution they now said I have breached, or at least the rules of engagement. And I had to step in and say, no, the candidate that you want to run in Surrey is not from Surrey, so she can't be a VP in Surrey. And I kind of messed up their plan a bit. They were planning to, get rid of this person, and I messed up the plan because I said no, you can't. The rules said you run in the county that you live in. You don't run in a different county. And so I'm sure they weren't happy. They tried to kind of suggest at the annual members congress that maybe somebody else could challenge me as president. They presented it like a little joke, but the members would not have it. The members pretty much booed them off the stage and say no way. And so they kind of pulled back and looked for the next opening, which I provided to them by resigning. When I resigned, I knew that this would open up to a bigger discussion and would move us from this small body of persons who are trying to manipulate the system one way or the other. It would bring us now to more persons, the candidates, so that we can have a proper conversation and a talk for them to see what is happening and to be a part of the decision making process. So I'm very happy that we did this. Now, where are we? We have since been able to get the support of over 70% of the candidates and still working on the others because they're confused, they're surprised, they're shocked, they're bewildered. Some are depressed, some are crying. We're all hurting because we could not believe what we saw. But I told them this was to be expected. We're not operating in a vacuum. We're operating in a very evil and devilish society with all forms of corruption. So please prepare yourself for more attempts at destabilizing and destroying the UIC. This is just the next attempt. They have done many already. They tried to keep us from registering and made us suffer for 10 years. They have blocked us from the banks so that up to this point, we cannot open a commercial bank account. We just failed again with Jamaica National. We failed with NCB. We failed with First Caribbean or CIBC. We failed with JMMB. We failed with called I forgot the name. But all of these banks have turned us down. Why? Why are they turning us down? They turned us down because they're a part of a system designed to suffocate any attempt to change Jamaica from a country that is managed and manipulated by those who represent the colonial masters. They will not allow Jamaica to be free. And we have to fight hard and fight even harder. So this is just one more attempt at overthrowing the UIC. We have survived many attempts, but this has been the most crippling because it is the most effective. They had somebody on the inside, and I would not be surprised if that person has been paid to mislead, mischaracterize, misdirect, and in the end, seek to destroy this movement. But we're not going to allow them. We are going to overcome. We are going to triumph because this Joseph Patterson may look like a softy, but I am committed to fighting this battle to the very end. So when I resigned, it opened the door for you to show yourself, and you showed yourself. You revealed your character. You show who you really are. Your intentions became very clear to the members now, to the candidates, to the parish managers, to the vice presidents, to all who truly love and revere this United Independence Congress. Your true colors have been shown up. And as a result, we are going to come forward stronger, more powerful, and no force on earth except God Himself will be able to stop us from leading Jamaica to victory over division, victory over tribalism, victory over corruption, victory over colonization, and victory over all those who wish to live at the expense of others. We are going to make Jamaica truly independent, truly free, and a truly strong nation. We're going to give our children an education like no other education they've seen. We're going to have an Afrocentric education system. We're going to have a system that helps them to know who they are, how to build strong relationships, and how to understand and manage money for maximum economic outcome. We're going to build a strong agricultural sector that is based on organic farming as the foundation of creating a healthy and wealthy and well-balanced society. Our agri program is going to produce jobs in the thousands. It's going to reduce cancer. It's going to help our Jamaican people to export in mass numbers. Organic farming is going to become our oil. It's going to be our gold. And we are going to be able to make Jamaica food independent because of this. We are going to not only become a strong economic power in agriculture, we're going to become energy independent by tapping into all the areas that we can use to reverse our dependence on foreign oil. We have the solar systems in place. We're going to make sure we have the biogas systems in place. We're going to make sure we tap into hydroelectricity. We're going to tap into geothermal energy. And we're going to make sure that Jamaica become a strong force in the Caribbean, in the region, in the hemisphere, because we are going to not depend on oil from overseas, but from our own resources here to power our economy and liberate our people from the debt traps that we have been placed in by governments past and present. We're not only going to become a food secure country and an energy secure country, we're going to become a water secure country because we are going to start capturing water, proper water harvesting facilities across the country, well maintained, so that Jamaica, here at home, we will never be short of water again. The pressure will never be low again. And bigger than that, we're going to export water to countries who are having problems producing the same. When the UIC is finished, Jamaica is going to be known as the safest, cleanest, most orderly, and freest country on the planet. We're going to turn Jamaica into a modern city state from coast to coast, east to west, north to south. You're going to have a clean and beautiful Jamaica, not just in a tourist era, because the entire Jamaica will be a tourist destination. We're going to change the tourist product so that tourism becomes community-based and not all-inclusive. It will be an all-inclusive product that includes all Jamaicans participating in the tourism industry in one form or another. We're going to make our agri program so successful, so brilliant, that it itself will be a tourist attraction. We're going to have people coming here to taste the food, to enjoy the sun, to enjoy the entertainment, the music, the sports, and to enjoy the company of a new Jamaican generation. We are going to make Jamaica not only safe and pretty, we're going to make Jamaica the place where you can live, earn, and retire with dignity in your own country. No more will our young people, our young professionals have to run off to go somewhere else to live because Jamaica does not make them feel safe. Jamaica does not give them the opportunity that they need. We, the people of Jamaica, are going to take back Jamaica from those who have robbed us for 78 years with them pretty words and grand promises, sell our country out to other nations. It's going to. This morning I was invited to Love FM to speak on their program concerning the NIDS. And they tricked me, as usual. What they did, they called me on for window dressing. They called me on so that they could manipulate the situation. They gave Floyd Green, the very person who represents all that is wrong with this country, when he broke the law that he's a part of setting and was freed. And I broke the law that was wrong, unethical, and immoral, and was sent to jail and is now being dragged through the courts. They put on the program with me without telling me, which is fine. He came on. What did he do? He told a nice, fanciful story about a beautiful national ID card system, when in fact what they're doing is creating an environment to trap, manipulate, control, and extort the Jamaican people. This new ID system will be a part of the concoction of the central bank digital currency, together with this digital ID that they're going to force on you. They tell you it's voluntary, but it's not voluntary. You know why it's not voluntary? Because once they bring it in, your employer will require it. And if you don't take it, you can't work. Once they bring it in, the bank will require it. And if you don't have it, you can't use the bank properly. You can't open an account properly. They're going to triangulate us and make sure that we're a part of the great reset system that some diabolical global elites are trying to enforce on the Jamaican people. They will do everything to stop me. They will do everything to stop the UIC from getting through, make you aware and to make sure that you vote for the change that will protect your sovereignty, that will protect your rights. They're going to send all manner of evil against us. But we are not going to give in. We are not going to give up. And we are going to make sure that this year Jamaica become the one last free country on the planet. If all other countries decide that they're going to go the way of the Great Reset, where you all become dependent on universal basic income, or you're stuck just looking for a job because they've taken away every opportunities for you to start a business and own a business and run a business, so you can become a modern day slave. They're going to get to do that in all the other countries who allow it. But we in Jamaica must stop it. If this Prime Minister had the luxury of the NIDS system in place and the now coming central bank digital currency, CBDC, if he had those two things in place during the pandemic, every one of us would have been forced to take the injection. You know why? Because they would have turned off your access to money, they would have turned off your access to society and limit you by virtue of these devices. Nothing is wrong with having an ID system. Nothing is wrong with having a digital currency. But everything is wrong with having an ID system and a digital currency, which is a part of a corrupt system of governance, which is designed purposefully to take away our rights and freedom and make us wage slaves. That is the objective. That is going to fight and fight and fight to stop doing it. No, I am one man. I am weak. I am not able to do this on my own. I can only do this with your help. They know that we will never get any funding from the big corporations. Why? Because the big corporations have a vested interest to continue to maintain the system as it is and to facilitate the system they want to come. So they are not interested in the UIC becoming a political choice for the Jamaican people, which is why they block us from CVM and TVJ, which is why they block us from the radio stations in general. And when they do call us on, they try to manipulate the situation. They gave Floyd Green 75% of the time and gave me 25% of the time, and even interrupted me during the 25%. You go and watch it. Love FM, what we did this morning. It is a travesty what they're doing. They are trying to rob the Jamaican people of the so-called democracy that they claim we have here in Jamaica. They're trying to rob us of that. And so they're doing everything that they can to destroy the UIC. But we're not going to let them. We are not going to allow them to destroy this movement. So to all of you who have been misled, misguided, and misdirected by the coup leaders, don't follow them if you know what is good for yourself and what is good for Jamaica. The moment they get me out of the picture, they know that they have got the party in their hand, and it will destroy the movement because it will not be supported, because the Jamaican people will not trust you. So there's only two outcomes. in this problem that we're faced with. Outcome number one is for them to get rid of Joseph Patterson and destroy the party. That's option number one. Option number two is for those in the party who realize the deception to say enough is enough, step out from among them, and join me in the fight for your freedom and your country. Feel frustrated, who they want you to feel frustrated. They want you to feel uncertain. They want you to just say, "I give up. I'm not gonna bother." Because see they're ready, them a new party, and them already have problems. No. Did you see a young couple, them just get married and have problems? Yes. We're a new party. And this new party is under stress because they want to kill it. They want to destroy it. They want to destroy me. They can't find any dirt on me because I am clean. They have tried. They have done everything. They have put out all kind of fake news. They have called me a drug dealer from Canada. They have tried to put that out there into the community, into the whole society. It hasn't stuck. It will not stick because it's a lie. And right now, any new form of lies that they bring will not stick because this here Joseph Patterson, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. Nobody is perfect. At least that's what we say. I'm not perfect, but I can tell you this. I am ethical, I am moral, and I am trustworthy. I am transparent, I'm accountable, and I'm responsible. Yes, I am tough, I am hard. If you're going to work with me, I'm going to expect you to do your best, and I'm going to demand nothing but excellence. And while we may not always achieve excellence, we must always strive for excellence. And so, as we go through this phase, please understand that it's normal. It's normal for the UIC to be under attack from within or without. There will be more attacks in the future. And the question is, will you stand with me now, stand with me then, and let us stand together when we get to the end and have a new Jamaica, united. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your well wishes. And I look forward to meeting with you again soon. And I ask you, please, please, do not listen to those who are seeking to destroy us. Listen to your heart. Look at me. Look at what I've done. Look at how far I've come with this movement. Look at the sacrifices made. And know for sure that I, Joseph L. Patterson, and my darling wife, will never, ever, ever let you down. We are going to stand for truth. We are going to stand for justice. And we are going to always, always be accountable and transparent to you. It might not be the way politicians behave. I'm not a politician. I am only involved in politics because I want. So don't expect me to do the things politicians do. I'm not going to play the games. I'm not going to try to trick you. I'm going to tell you as it is. And if something go wrong, I'm going to tell you it went wrong. And if it is right, I'm going to celebrate with you that it is right. But together, we're going to work as a team. And you are my team. I'm not getting any money from big business. It's you supporting this movement. It has hurt my finances, but that's okay. We can do this together. Help me. We can help Jamaica be the great country it can be. Please, let's stand together. Let's fight together. Let's work together and make Jamaica the country she can be. United, strong, and free. One Jamaica. Thank you very much. Have a good night.